So basically, a bot is something that you can interact with on a device. So for example, if you're on your iPhone and you hop into something like Facebook Messenger, you can have an actual conversation with them. Not quite the same as talking to a person, in the sense that there's an element of language processing involved in a template that the bot will be able to follow, and there's only so many questions that they might be able to understand from you. But they often offer you multiple choice options so that they can help you steer the conversation and keep it quite nice and structured. So for example, I was using a bot on Facebook Messenger and I kept getting a bit frustrated because I was trying to get away from the multiple choice and start actively interacting with it. But the distinction between a bot and something that's integrated with AI is that it's not necessarily learning from you. So, you know, there are examples where AI are integrated into bots, and the bot can continue to learn more about some of the keywords that you use and details about you, but we're still only in the infancy of that kind of technology. You know, there are just so many iterations of artificial intelligence. For example, it can be used within the context of a news gathering tool. For example, in the company that I work for in Mashable, we would use artificial intelligence to be able to mine millions of URLs on the internet to figure out what is picking up steam, and then to process that data in a way that's quite bespoke to us. So we'd be using it as a news gathering tool. We'd also use it as a news distribution tool to be able to monitor our performance of articles that are published online and on social, and to see how well they're performing, if certain headlines work better than others, if certain social images. But then there are just so many other ways artificial intelligence is being used in newsrooms. For example, it is possible now for an artificial intelligence to write up a news article. And I did this I had first-hand experience of witnessing this as a journalist when I was making an hour-long television documentary for Ireland's national broadcaster about AI. It was called Will a Robot Steal My Job? I went along to a news event, it was a soccer game, and I had to decipher between a piece of robo-journalism, i.e. a robot writing up a news article, and a human. And I was actually really, really impressed with what the robot was able to do. And the reason the robot was able to produce an article was through artificial intelligence. It sounded very human. The language sounded very human. All the details were there. It was very snappy. It was published in a timely fashion. But the key difference was the human wrote with a lot of passion and a lot of context, and you know, that time that they have spent loving the game, knowing the players. So that's the key difference here with where we are with AI. It can be used for very functional pieces of journalism, whether it's sports fixtures or a game happening, as in this example. But for things that require a bit more colour or context, the AI, it's more appropriate for the human to be involved in that. So a lot of people are kind of skeptical about technology in general. Are they going to take over our jobs? Are robots coming for us? Is AI actually reliable? Will there eventually be a super intelligence that will erase the human race? Those are kind of scientific style questions. My point of view on the matter, as someone who has looked into this in great detail, is that the technology is there as a tool to actually assist us and make our lives easier. So in the context of AI and journalism, it can take, for example, Panama Papers. That huge data set and that amount of information was processed using artificial intelligence. It would have taken so long for that to be, investigated just through a human being. So there are so many iterations where AI actually can work with a human to produce something of extreme quality. The other point to say is it can take away a lot of our rudimentary or kind of more boring, mundane tasks that we don't want to necessarily do. And it can do that effectively and leave us and free us up to do the fun stuff. But there are very positive examples where AI can assist us in the world of journalism too. I know that when Mashable makes something that's original, the response from the audience is so much greater and more positive and engaged than if it's just something that is a part of B-roll that every other news organisation has. So it's about setting yourself apart and doing something original. At the end of the day, right, we're using devices to do so many things in our lives. We're interacting with each other on chat applications, and so this is already part of our day-to-day behaviour. So it makes perfect sense that, for example, we would then transfer that behaviour into the world of consuming news and engaging with the bot. So I think there's a huge opportunity there.